Hi, welcome to my channel. After creating swatch cards for my Neocolor II sets in one of my previous videos, I was coloring a page in Leila Duly's Beautiful Planet using Caran Neocolor II as a base and then finishing it off with Prismacolor Premier color pencils. This was my first time using Neocolor II in a coloring book, so I wasn't sure what to expect. I didn't know if I could layer color pencils on top after using the Neocolor II as a base layer. The reason I chose Leila Duly's book to try this method was because generally, the paper quality of her books is pretty good. By using Neocolor II, I wanted to blend it with water before adding the color pencil layer. So I didn't want to choose an Amazon printed coloring book, because I knew that the paper doesn't work well with a water-based medium. I'm pretty happy with the paper quality of her books. The paper is smooth and not too thin. It feels better than the paper in Kirby Roseanne's or some of Johanna Basford's books. This was an intro page where you write your name, so it wasn't exactly a full page. If I ended up liking how it felt, I may try it on some other pages. The colors I chose for these seashells were warmer to convey the sweet and romantic vibes. I was aware that the colors were not exactly realistic, but it was my interpretation of life at the time I colored this page. With recent events in my personal life, I would have chosen some cooler tones or muted colors. I think that's so interesting how we can convey a mood or emotion by choosing different colors. By the way, my videos are usually a little chatty, and I was told my voice could put people to sleep. So you are free to mute the video if you just want to see the coloring process. Anyway, thank you to all of you who have been very supportive and share courage and kind words with me during my loss. I didn't expect to see so many comments under my community post announcement. Your comments gave me hope and meant a great deal. It's amazing how kind people can be even though we have never met in person. It's essential to believe in goodness and continue to spread love and hope. By the time I'm recording, I haven't read through all your comments to avoid being too emotional. I think I'm having a hard time accepting the reality that my dog is no longer with me. She was basically the only family member I had here in the US. Losing her was tough. It felt like losing everything. I'm so glad I have a YouTube channel where I can focus on and continue to create content to distract myself. I thought last year losing my cat was hard enough. With my dog also gone, it feels impossible. I guess the lesson is not to have multiple pets that will grow old together. Having multiple losses in a short period of time is truly hard to process. Right now, I'm trying my best to put those emotions in an imaginary box until I have the strength to face them. I must confess that I have been spending more time shopping for art supplies and coloring books. So I guess haul videos are on the way. Please don't judge me if it seems I have been buying too much. If you have books or art supplies that you love and would like to recommend, please let me know in the comments. I need more distraction. Regarding this coloring page, I didn't color the whole thing at once because I wasn't sure if it would work. I thought if it turned out badly, maybe I could correct it with my Derwent Inktense color pencils. After I colored a few of the seashells with Neocolor II, I thought it was doable. So I continued to finish up the base layer using the Neocolor II Pastel. After adding the Neocolor II layer, I used a water brush to dissolve the colors and blend them. Since it wasn't watercolor paper, I had to work quickly so that the colors wouldn't appear patchy. I probably could use more water, but then the paper may warp badly. It was a delicate balance of how much water to use and how fast I could dissolve and blend the colors. Working with water, I sometimes have to accept imperfections. I did see some watermarks that I would rather not to have on paper. I suppose I wouldn't use this method to color a portrait where I need the skin to appear smooth. I think water mediums work best with nature subjects that have textures. After finishing this video, I will need to practice using acrylic markers. I don't have experience using acrylic brush markers, but a company wanted to send me a set to try. As a content creator on YouTube, I feel like I have to improve quickly when using different art supplies. But we all know that's nearly impossible. To create something good, I need to take time to get familiar with the tools and practice a lot. Things like that are challenging, but also a chance for me to improve. I was told that we never get better by feeling comfortable. Challenges are good for growth and improvement. I guess you will see me trying acrylic markers more in the future. If you are also trying to figure out how to use acrylic markers, please consider subscribing to my channel and maybe we can learn and grow together. Here I'm showing you the back side of the page. You can see that with the amount of water I use, the page held up quite well without warping too much, and no bleed through at all. I was happy to see this because I wasn't sure how well this paper handled water. I love this artist so much that I have purchased multiple copies of this book, so I know I can color every page even if I decide to use alcohol markers. I know that sounds excessive, but I'm not crazy. Have you seen how much it costs for her discontinued books on eBay? It is insane to see the price tag on those discontinued books. Anyway, the next step was for me to add the Prismacolor color pencil layer to see if color pencil would work well with the Neocolor II base layer. While applying the Neocolor II layer, I had already decided on the light source for this page. I imagined it was a soft, top-down light shining on these seashells. The reason I didn't want to create a side light source was because the composition of this page was circular. I worried that the side light source may make it look lopsided. I wanted it to look well balanced as a round-shaped graphic. However, there's a challenge with a top-down light source because it's harder to create the three-dimensionality, especially since some of these seashells were in a flat shape. Initially, I wanted the whole thing to look softer, but then I felt like the result might end up looking too flat. For that reason, I gradually added some darker tones to emphasize the shadows and create more volume for the seashells. I'm not sure if you have noticed, but I also created brighter edges on the seashell in the shadow area. That's because naturally, if the seashell were sitting on a white surface, the light from the surface would reflect on it. Before I finalize the color on this seashell, I use a brown color to layer on top for the patterns. To be honest, at that point in my coloring process, I was struggling with the result. It simply didn't have the three-dimensionality I was hoping to see. I told myself to keep going because sometimes you have to go through an ugly phase before you achieve the result you want. With this page, the design features multiple seashells stacked together, so completing just one seashell would not achieve the desired effect. Also, I was probably not very confident with my work. Sadly, sometimes I find it challenging to overcome self-doubt. I know that if I push it through, the result usually won't be too bad. I just need not to care too much when I'm in the middle of my work. I probably should focus on creating and not worrying. It is no big deal if I fail. I can always learn from my mistake and start something new. That may sound simple, but it's extremely difficult for me to adapt to that mindset. Because when growing up, I was shaped to not fail in things I do, which is probably common with Asian households. I think it is sometimes incredible how our childhood education can shape our adult behaviors. It's like a built-in program that operates and controls our daily life. When it comes to art creation, I rarely plan. I think unless you are highly skilled, it's hard to do exactly as planned. Art mediums sometimes have a life of their own. Especially when using watercolor, the result can be so unpredictable. I feel like even if I plan, I always end up derailing from my original idea. I tend to go with the flow because I know that if I focus too much on perfection, it will never amount to anything. As you can see here, since I wasn't satisfied with the result at the time, I had to continue adding more shadow using darker colors. Later in the coloring process, I also realized that it would look better once I finished coloring other seashells around the first one I worked on. When I finished this page, it felt like things had finally come together and looked better. It probably looked odd because I tried so hard to create volume for the top seashell, and then it was surrounded by other flat-looking seashells that I hadn't worked on. Anyway, I apologize if you are expecting to see the whole coloring process. This was supposed a test for Neocolor II, so I didn't want to spend 90% of the time using color pencils in this video. The conclusion was that the Neocolor II worked quite well with Prismacolor. However, the Neocolor II layer did feel slightly waxy, so I'm not sure how compatible it would be with harder pencils. I think the Intense pencil may be a better choice for the base layer if you plan to layer. I hope this video is somewhat helpful, and I appreciate you taking the time to watch it. Bye for now, let's chat soon.